You could practically feel the chill crawl down Joe Rogan's spine as he stared at the courtroom footage. His eyes, locked on the screen, were wide, utter disbelief painted across his face. There, on the monitor, was Rihanna's former bodyguard, stone-faced, voice firm, and spilling the kind of tea that scorches careers and leaves no survivors. "I was told to forget what I saw," the bodyguard said, jaw tight. "If you want to keep working in this business, stay silent." Joe leaned back, palms pressed against his face. "Jesus Christ," he muttered. "What the hell is happening in Hollywood?" And just like that, the Diddy bombshell exploded. Not on a gossip blog, not through a tabloid leak, but in a federal courtroom. No cameras, no spin, just pure, unfiltered truth, the kind that doesn't get PR'd away. The courtroom clip played on. The bodyguard was just warming up. He spoke of a girl found crying in a hallway after one of Diddy's infamous private parties. A man gone without a trace, and a photo taped to his bathroom mirror of his daughter's school. Joe's expression shifted. It wasn't just shock anymore. It was fear. "That's not just a threat," Joe said slowly. "That's a psychological hit. That's cartel-level intimidation." And here's the thing. This wasn't tabloid fodder. This wasn't hearsay. It was court-certified, under oath, etched into the official record of a crumbling empire. Joe shook his head, almost in a daze. "You're telling me people have vanished, women dragged out of parties, careers scrubbed clean like they never existed, and every time one name keeps popping up, Diddy. This wasn't the usual celebrity scandal. This was something far darker. This was the kind of darkness that wears diamond watches and smiles on red carpets while hiding bodies in the shadows. You remember Epstein?" Joe whispered. "Everyone thought it was just rumors until it wasn't. And now this feels like the remix." Joe played the clip again. The courtroom fell silent as the bodyguard said, "I believe Julian died that night, and I believe Diddy knows how and why." Joe froze. If that's true, this isn't just a crack in the empire. It's decay. From the inside out. He turned away from the screen, like even he needed a second to absorb the sheer horror. The clip continued. "No phones, no cameras, no evidence, except the memories one man kept buried, except he hadn't buried them, had he? I kept records," the bodyguard said. Joe pounced on that line like a hawk. "Right there," he said. "That's not a man telling a story. That's a man stepping onto a battlefield." And the details? They were like something from a horror movie. Bruised women, SUVs with no plates, "Not tonight." "You didn't see this," someone told him. It was all so organized. This wasn't chaos, Joe snapped. This was protocol. You don't roll up blacked out vehicles and use code phrases unless this is business as usual. Joe's tone dropped. "That's not panic. That's a system." And it got worse. According to the testimony, the woman's contract terminated, socials wiped, identity gone, like she never existed. "That's not silencing," Joe said. "That's digital execution." But then came the real punch to the gut. The bodyguard's apartment broken into. Nothing stolen, but a message left behind, a Polaroid of his daughter's school entrance, taped to the mirror. Joe couldn't even speak at first. When he did, it was barely a whisper. "That's how they play," he said. "Not with lawsuits, with fear, with families." And then he said the line that made everyone stop breathing. "This isn't about cancel culture," Joe declared. "This is about survival culture. There is a system in place to keep people like Diddy bulletproof." That wasn't the end, not even close. Joe rewound to the moment the bodyguard described another woman dragged out unconscious, a purse in the trash, name erased from the industry within days. Joe's face tightened. "That's not a coincidence," he said. "That's cleanup, mafia style." And then the courtroom clip hit its boiling point. "I saw Diddy hand an envelope to a driver and say, 'No one hears about this. Understood.'" Joe slapped the desk. "That's not pop star behavior," he snapped. "That's a damn crime boss move." He looked directly into the camera. How many parties like this happened? How many women didn't walk out the same? How many didn't walk out at all? And he dropped the name again. "Julian, I believe he died that night, and I believe Diddy knows why." The courtroom erupted. And Joe, he was just beginning to connect the dots. This wasn't just Diddy. This was an entire machine, a well-oiled, well-funded, fear-based engine built to chew people up and spit them out if they dared speak. Joe's jaw was clenched. "I've had CIA guys on this show," he said. "Contractors, whistleblowers, and they all say the same thing. When you see this kind of coordination, it means someone powerful is running the playbook." Then came the moment that would change everything. The judge recessed the session. The evidence, the memory card, was sealed. They didn't even show it publicly, Joe muttered, and it still shut the whole courtroom down. He tapped the table, his voice low. That means what's on that drive is worse than anything that was said out loud. This was no longer about gossip, no longer about celebrity antics. It was about a rot so deep that even the courts were struggling to hold it in place. Joe looked into the camera again. This guy, this bodyguard, he's not chasing fame. He's not writing a book. He's risking everything because he kept the receipts that included photos, GPS logs, security entries, names that had been sealed by the court. And one of those names, Martin read, vanished the next day. Joe leaned in. That's pattern recognition. That's not speculation. That's digital evidence. The courtroom clip played again, the bodyguard's voice filled with raw truth. I wasn't just protecting Rihanna, I was cleaning up everyone else's mess. Joe's voice was trembling now. That's not protection, he said. That's being a silencer. And the scariest part? The bodyguard had made peace with the cost. He wasn't scared anymore. He was done being quiet, done protecting monsters in tailored suits. You know what that looks like, Joe asked. That's what desperation turned into purpose looks like. And that's when he called it what it really was. A cult, he said. A billion-dollar cult. Joe was still reeling, still clutching the edges of his desk like the whole studio might collapse under the weight of what he just watched. But the footage kept rolling, and so did the horror. This time, the defense lawyer tried a dirty swing. Isn't it true, he asked smugly, that you were let go from Rihanna's team for misconduct? Joe rolled his eyes, muttering, here it is. The oldest trick in the damn book. When you can't kill the truth, kill the person telling it. But the bodyguard? Unshaken. I left because I couldn't watch it anymore, he snapped back. The parties, the fear, the girls, the aftermath. I wasn't protecting a person, I was protecting a machine that chewed people up. Joe froze the screen. Look at his face, he whispered. That's not performance. That's not bitterness. That's a man who's been drowning in silence for years, finally gasping for air. Then came the part that twisted Joe's gut like a vice. The 2018 Calabasas party. A girl tried to leave. She was stopped. Later, she was carried out, unconscious. Within 48 hours, her entire digital life had vanished. No posts, no deals, nothing, Joe murmured. That's what erasure looks like. And then came the line that flipped the whole room upside down. The bodyguard, voice unwavering, said, I was told the cameras weren't working that night, but I had already backed up the files. Joe sat back, stunned, but smiling. That, he said, is the power shift. That's the plot twist no one saw coming. That's how this whole empire cracks. The court accepted the memory card, sealed, silent, but undeniably real. Joe's voice dropped, sharp with clarity. That's not for clout, that's not for headlines, that's for justice. And just when it felt like there couldn't possibly be more, Joe played the final gut punch clip. The bodyguard, eyes heavy with loss, said, I lost friends. I lost work. I lost my life keeping those secrets. And now, I don't care anymore. Joe leaned forward, voice trembling. You don't say that unless you've already buried the fear, he said. That's not bravery. That's a man with nothing left to lose. The prosecutor in the courtroom then asked the chilling question, were there others like her? The bodyguard didn't even flinch. Many, some spoke, most didn't. One ended up in a psych ward, another fled the country. But told me the things she saw made her spirit bleed, and then she disappeared. Joe was visibly shaken. If even half of this is true, he said, then the music industry isn't just broken, it's sitting on a damn graveyard. And then came the final blow. After I refused to sign the NDA, the bodyguard said, they broke into my apartment. I didn't steal anything, just moved stuff around, left a cracked glass on the table, and another Polaroid, my daughter's school entrance. Joe couldn't speak. For a full 10 seconds, he just stared. That's not just fear, he whispered. That's engineered control. That's psychological warfare. And the more he said it out loud, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about Diddy. This wasn't even just about the victims. This was about an entire industry that had traded humanity for silence. Applause for complicity. Joe locked eyes with the camera. Every single person who worked for him, clapped for him, protected him. Ask yourself, what did you know and when did you stop caring? Then came the final courtroom moment. The judge, pale and visibly shaken, took the evidence and sealed it. Joe paused the screen. You know what that tells me? He said quietly. They know. They saw what's on that drive and they know it's too much to reveal in one sitting. And then Joe dropped the line that burned like truth set on fire. We always say it's just a few bad apples. But no, it's a whole damn orchard. This isn't scandal, it's structure. The final courtroom footage played. The prosecutor asked, "Did you ever personally witness Sean Combs orchestrate a cover-up?" The room tensed. The jury leaned forward and the bodyguard delivered the final nail. Yes. Joe's jaw dropped. "That's not rumor," he growled. "That's a death certificate." That's a man risking everything to say this is who's responsible. The story didn't end there. The prosecutor pressed again. "Can you describe what you saw?" November 2019, the bodyguard began. Hollywood Hills, private party. A young man found unconscious upstairs, rope burns, bruising. 2 SUVs arrived, no cops. Diddy handed an envelope to the driver, said, "No one hears about this, understood?" "That's not drama," he finally said. "That's a cover-up. That's a body." And then came the why, the moment that drove everything home. "Why didn't you come forward sooner?" the prosecutor asked. The answer? Bone-chilling. "Because the first time I even thought about it," the bodyguard said, "someone left a Polaroid of my daughter's school taped to my bathroom mirror." Joe didn't blink. Couldn't. Wouldn't. "That's the kind of thing you don't recover from," he said. "You don't go on with your life after that. You either shut up or you take the whole damn house down." And this man, line, "I believe Julian died that night, and I believe Diddy knows how and why." That's not just an accusation. That's the collapse of an entire narrative, he exhaled, steady now, like a man who's seen something and can't ever unsee it. "You know what's terrifying?" he said. "The bodyguard isn't emotional. He's not angry. He's done. And that's when the powerful start trembling. When the people they hurt aren't scared anymore." He stared into the lens. This isn't about celebrity gossip. This is about truth coming to the surface, like bodies in a lake. And then Joe said the words that felt like prophecy. Diddy's not fighting a PR battle anymore. He's standing in front of a fuse, and it's already lit. As the courtroom clip ended, Joe sat still, almost too still, not with confusion, but with something more dangerous, realization. When that man pointed his finger at Diddy, that courtroom didn't just become a battleground, he said. It became a mirror for the entire entertainment industry. And in that reflection, we saw rot. The last lines of the testimony played again. The bodyguard, voice steady, said, "I've carried these secrets for years. I've watched people disappear. I've watched the media lie. I've watched the powerful laugh while the powerless begged. And today, I'm done." Joe let it hang. "That's not testimony," he said slowly. "That's the first scream that finally escaped the dark." And with that, the screen faded to black. But nobody watching could look away. Joe sat there, hands still, voice low, final truth dripping off his words like a warning. They built a fortress out of silence. This guy broke the first brick. He looked dead into the camera and finished with a sentence that the industry may never recover from. Let's make damn sure it doesn't get rebuilt.